All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, on a day where Alex Palou and that DHL Honda clinched their third consecutive IndyCar title and the fourth in the last 5 years, the Grand Prix of Portland might have been a bittersweet part of IndyCar history. And the reason why I say it is while Palou finished third on Sunday in Portland, Will Power, the only other IndyCar driver who has won the championship over the last 5 years, took home the checkered flag in that race. And the win for Power was not only the first of the year for him, but it was also surprisingly the first for Team Penske in what has been a very trying season for them. And with that said, everything aside from the trying year for Penske, the rumors of Power possibly being replaced at Penske by David Malukas, who is currently driving for AJ Foyt in regards to 2026, due to the fact that Power's contract is up at the end of the year. Now, in his post race comments with Fox Sports this past Sunday, Power seemed resigned, to sounding like a man who knows that the end of the line for him and the number 12 Chevrolet could be coming. And it's truly unfortunate, but it's also the business side of it as well. Power basically said, and he was quoted as saying, excuse me, I've had a great career with Verizon and Penske. So I just really, really enjoyed winning for the guys and everyone I've worked with for a long time. Now, aside from winning the IndyCar Championship in 2022 for the second time, Power also finished fourth last season, basically over the last decade. I think with the exception of one instance, okay, which is 2021, Power has basically finished top five in the standings, at the end of the season. And of course, pardon me, 2021 and 2023. But every other year over the last decade, Power has finished in the top five in the standings. Okay. And you look at it this year, Power is still driving at a quality level. Okay. Of the three Penske drivers, along with Joseph Newgarden and Scotty Mack, Will Power is the only Penske driver right now that is currently in the top 10 in points. Power is currently sixth, while Scotty Mack is 11th and Joseph Newgarden is 18th. And of those drivers, okay, Will Power has eight top tens and six top fives. And when you talk about his top fives, okay, that's the same amount of top fives that Scotty Mack and Newgarden have this season combined. Okay. It's one of those where, like I said, it's been a very trying year for Team Penske, an un-Penske like year, especially if we're talking about this late in the season that Penske just got their first win of the year. And of course, I'm sure that, Roger Penske is not thrilled to see his rival Chip Ganassi, get the best of him once again, as of course Alex Palou, who drives for Chip Ganassi, and he just took home his fourth championship in the last 5 years. But nonetheless, you think about the cheating scandal that really rocked Team Penske earlier this year, and of course that was built off of everything last year. And not only that, but Team Penske has seen their fair share of DNFs all season long, as it's been a rarity to see all three drivers actually be able to finish a race like they did yesterday. But if Roger Penske and company do decide to move on from Will Power, I guarantee you that the 44-year-old Australian will not be out of work for a while, because there are plenty of IndyCar teams who would love to bring in a driver with the experience of Power to not only drive for them, but to also be a mentor to the younger drivers. And Power's experience was really on display in his victory on Sunday in Portland. Why? Because he had to hold off McLaren's Christian Lundgaard, who was charging, and then of course Alex Palou. And he did it for the final 30 laps, where both Lundgaard and Palou were running on new soft tires, while Power had to run the used one. But you know what? The veteran driver knew how to get it done. The veteran driver picked his spots, and also once Palou closed that gap on Lundgaard for second, he basically let them fight it off while he was able to get his victory. So of course, the decision is going to be in the hands of Roger Penske and company, at Team Penske, and of course there was a lot of shifting around this year at Team Penske, because several executives, including Tim Cindric, lost their jobs amid the cheating scandal. But would Roger Penske be ready to move on from one of the most successful drivers who's ever ran for him? I mean, Roger Penske wants his drivers to win Indy. Will Power has done that. Roger Penske wants his drivers to bring him championships. Will Power has done that. We're talking about a guy, I think it's 44 or 45 career wins now, which are fourth all time in IndyCar history. And nobody has won more poles for races in IndyCar history than Will Power. I'll tell you like this: if Penske does want to move on from Will Power, he is making the decision very difficult for them. Why? Because he, again, like I said before, he is still racing at a quality level. He's been your best and most consistent driver this year, and maybe, just maybe, they want to go younger and they see the potential of a David Malukas. But I'll tell you like this: we don't know what's going to happen. There's no official announcement has been made. It's all speculation. But I'll say this: I get the business part of it. But for what Will Power has meant to Team Penske for quite some time now, the fact that they are allowing him to dangle out in the wind like this, to me, is flat out disrespectful. Either make the announcement and say, hey, you know what? We're going to move on from this guy. We're going in a different direction. Or, you know what? Make the announcement and say, hey, we've given Will Power a brand new contract extension to keep driving for us. Okay. And like I said before, if Penske were to make the decision to move on from Power, he wouldn't be without a job for that long, because I guarantee you there are plenty of teams around IndyCar that would love to have him, driving for them next season. You look at some of the guys this year that have been big time disappointments, after they've gotten paid big bucks in the last year or so to drive for new teams. And of course, it has not worked out. I guarantee you, Will Power wouldn't be out of work for that long. But again, it was bittersweet, to see him get that checkered flag. Of course, we knew that once Pato O'Ward, had his engine failures, that was all she wrote, because Pato was the only driver who still mathematically had a chance to try to catch Alex Palou. And of course, this has probably been one of the most dominant seasons in IndyCar that we have seen from a driver for quite some time. So the champagne was basically on ice for Palou, but Will Power got his taste of the champagne as well, and he took home the checkered flag for the first time this season, and maybe the last time while as a driver for Team Penske. Two more races to go. Okay, we got the Milwaukee Mile in a little bit less than 2 weeks, and of course, anybody who's a racing fan, anybody who's an IndyCar fan, knows that the Milwaukee Mile has historically been a Penske track. So let's see, what Will Power can do there, as well as Newgarden, as well as Scotty Mack. And aside from Will Power, Newgarden, and Scotty Mack, there's a lot of hungry drivers that still want to take home the checkered flag. They still want a podium this year, and they haven't done it. And like I said, guys are driving for jobs for next season. So when it's all said and done, you've got a lot of hungry guys at the forefront. I don't see Palou taking his foot off of the throttle. He's got too much, intestinal fortitude, to back off at this point. He wants to continue to dominate. I totally get that, and I totally respect that. But nonetheless, Milwaukee in a little bit less than 2 weeks, Nashville in a little bit less than 3 weeks. But nonetheless, let's see what the future holds for Will Power, the number 12 Verizon Chevy, and Team Penske. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, You know what to do. Just please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same can be said for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 pounds of sports knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.